Okay, so hello my dear students, welcome to another video lecture for state tax. Okay, so we are actually in our last video lecture for week 1 to 3 ULO B, no? Um, so for in the first video, now we have discussed what are the items to be included and excluded in the gross estate, and also we have discussed what are the deductions, the allowable deductions in the gross estate. So we classified them into two, diba? We have ordinary deductions and special deductions. Now for this video, we shall discuss some illustration on how to determine the net state and state tax due of an unmarried decedent. So we have here the format, no? So you have gross state, no, less deductions, the ordinary deductions and the special deductions to arrive at the net taxable estate, no? Then you multiply it with 6%. This is actually the state tax rate na effective January 1, 2018, no, yung effectivity ng train law. Kasi before train law, or before January 1, 2018, ang tax rate actually is graduated na tax table. We follow tax table for state tax. But for effective January 1, 2018, with the train law, flat rate lang siya at 6%. Okay, so net taxable state times state tax rate of 6%. So we have state tax due na. Yan yung computation natin. So we have here illustration, no? First, illustration for a resident citizen, no? So you have here, di na nakahinga, resident Filipino, single, died on February 14, 2018. So assets declared and deductions claimed by the state are as follows. Okay, so we have family home in Quezon City, 8 million. Lot in Quezon City where the house stands, 500,000. Fish pond in Bulacan, 4 million. Apartment in Manila, 1.6 million. And then shares of stock, domestic corporation, 600,000. Shares of stock in a foreign corporation, 60% of the business is in the Philippines, 400,000. Cash in bank, also 100,000. And then deduction claim, no, funeral expenses, 300,000. Family home deduction, 8.5 million. Medical expenses incurred within 1 year before death, 600,000. Loss, decedent has a receivable from Mr. Max, 40,000. Liability, this represents unpaid subscription to 200 shares of Tililing Corporation acquired on February 10, 2018, 200,000. Standard deduction, unitemized and undocumented, 5 million. And that benefits received under RA 497 of 300,000. Okay? So we are actually to determine the net taxable estate and state tax with this given information. So i-check natin if tama ra ba nag-claim niya ng deductions and pila ang gross state pod ni decedent. Okay, so the gross state, so ang mag-compose atong gross state, we have here the family home, no, 8 million. So lot in Quezon City, we have here 500,000. So the house and lot is actually 8.5 million. Fish pan in Bulacan, 4 million. Apartment, Manila, 1.6 million. Itong shares of stock, domestic, included, 600,000. But itong shares of stock in a foreign corporation, so since resident citizen, so actually ang FIDOS nito is without, pero since resident citizen siya, diba? So taxable siya within, without. So included ito, 400,000. Cash in bank, also 100,000. But there are certain deductions na dapat na-include mo sa gross state. So, you've noticed that there are items, no, na i-claim yung deduction but should have na dapat part siya sa gross estate. So we have the shares of stock of Tililing Corporation, no, 200,000. That's actually claim against the state, no. Dapat na-include din yung sa gross estate yung shares of stock. And then, itong death benefits under RA 417, dapat included ito sa gross estate, diba? And also, we have itong claim against insolvent person na 40,000, no? Yan siya. So, dapat, di ba, as a rule, yung claim against insolvent person, dapat yung full amount of the claim should be included in the gross estate. So, we have here, our gross estate is 15,740,000. So, ano lang, no? We have to be mindful lang sa mga items, especially sa mga deductions. So, dapat na-upload siya sa gross estate. Yan. So, our gross estate adjusted is 15,740,000. And then, what are the allowable deductions? No? So, we have here yung claim against insolvent person or yung loss, yung receivable natin from Mr. Max, which have 40,000. Yung claim against the state, no? Yung unpaid subscription to 200 shares of the dealing company, that's 200,000. And we also have family home deduction, 8.5 million. So, tama lang na 8.5 kasi yung lot and house. No? So, take note that yung family home deduction, the maximum amount is 10 million. So, since this is lesser than 10 million, so, ang deduct natin is the fair value, no? Fair value of the family home versus 10 million, whichever is lower. Yeah. And then we have here standard deduction with 5 million also. And then death benefits under RA 1417 of 300,000. So we have total deductions of 14,040,000 kasi yung total deductions natin. So the gross estate less the total allowable deductions of 14,040,000, we have net taxable estate of 1.7 million. No? Okay, so the state tax due, no, is actually the net taxable estate of 1.7 million times 6%, which is 102,000. Okay, so as a recap, we have gross estate of 15,740,000. We have deductions total of 14,040,000. Then we have arrived with a net taxable estate of 1.7 million times 6%. We have state tax due of 102,000. Okay, so our next illustration, example ito, what if the decedent is a non-resident alien? Okay, so pag non-resident alien, diba, taxable lang sila within. Okay? Taxable lang sila within. And then, yung deductions niya, so if you could remember, diba, so allowed siya with, so review natin yung yan. So NRA, non-resident alien, are allowed a proportional deduction, no, yung gross state sa Philippines over gross state world times world claim against the state, claim against insolvent person, and unpaid mortgage. So, yung deductions allowed niya. And then, pwede din siya mag-claim ng PPT or property privacy tax or vanishing deduction. Basta lang ang property nasa Philippines. Pwede siya mag-claim ng transfer for public use for property situated in the Philippines. We also have net share of the surviving spouse, okay, in the conjugal or partnership or community property. Pwede. And then, salary deduction of 500,000. So, these are the allowed deductions lang. So, take note, wala siyang family home. No? So, wala siyang family home. Yan. But, may salary deduction niya 500,000. Okay? Sige. So, here, we have Chikuwa, a non-resident alien, died leaving the following assets. We have domestic shares, 1 million, foreign shares, 3 million, tangible personal property in the Philippines, 6 million, and expenses, the deductible niya is 1.2 million. So, since di man ito naka-itemized, no, so probable, ay posible na these are yung ito, world claim against the state, claim against insolvent person, and unpaid mortgage. Okay. So note that the country where he is a citizen and resident does not impose transfer tax, meaning with reciprocity, no? does not impose transfer tax on transmission of intangible of Filipinos. So, with reciprocity. So, as a rule, di ba, yung intangible personal property ng side is within, dili siya included in the gross state. No? Okay. So, to compute for the taxable state and state tax, we have here gross state within the Philippines, diba? 6 million. So, 6 million, ito lang. Tangible personal property in the Philippines. Kasi ito foreign shares without ng situs nito, diba? Yung domestic shares naman, since with reciprocity man, so exempt ito. So, yung gross state natin sa Philippines is only 6 million lang. And then, itong gross state outside the Philippines, we have 4 million. So, total gross state within and outside the Philippines, or yung world gross state is actually 10 million. But for the computation of the state tax, no? So, dabay i-consider nato is ano lang, gross state sa Philippines, which is 6 million. So, we have here, allowable deduction, di ba? Prorated dapat itong 1.2 million. So, prorated between the Philippine gross state over the world gross state. So, we have 1.2 million times 6 over 10. Okay, we have 720,000 plus the standard deduction of 500,000. We have 1,220,000. Okay, so gross state less deduction. So, deduction natin, dalawa lang. Proportional deduction plus standard deduction of 1 million of 500,000. So we have 1,220,000. So gross state less deduction of 1,220,000. We have net taxable estate of 4,780,000. Okay, to determine the state tax due, i-multiply lang natin yung state tax due, ay yung net taxable estate, no? By 6% to determine the state tax due of 286,800. Okay, so that's the computation. So, in summary, i-determine mo lang yung gross estate, then allowable deduction niya, proportional deduction, then standard deduction, vanishing deduction, and transfer for public use. So then, you have net taxable state multiplied by 6%, then stays tax. Yun lang. Ang computation for a non-resident aliens. Okay, so that ends our discussion. Okay, so thank you for watching the video lecture.